Guys, last week was the week of the reversal, right? During these times where markets are collapsing, we had the S&P have the single largest point gain it's had in quite some time. You have the dollar reverse, you have the Canadian dollar continuing its bleeding because it's correlated highly to the oil numbers. Last week put us in a very interesting position for trading. This week, we have some really awesome insights for you guys on where we think these markets can go based on the fundamentals. Let's roll the intro. All right, let's get this week started up. Welcome back, guys, to the Top Trader channel. It's your head trader here, Cleveland Bishop.
Head of research, Kyler.
And boy, again, we had some pretty large pullbacks last week. We want to discuss with you guys exactly what happened last week. We're going to go into the charts in a second to kind of give you guys an idea of what, the 5-day trading week ended up as, right? We had our own ideas in regards to markets reversing as well, actually, because one thing that we noticed at the beginning of last week, Monday, was that the previous week, that dollar ran way too fast. And so we thought that maybe we could see a pullback in some capacity, and that's exactly what we saw. Should we run the tape real quick?
Run it really quick.
All right, real quick. Here's a real quick snippet of us saying, hey, it is likely that the dollar ran too far too fast. We may see a pullback. Yeah, so if we're thinking $1.04, that's quite some way. We're maybe around 300 pips. Of course, the market could wipe that out in no time. Do we see a little bit more of an up move, temporarily? That's, in my assumption, that's what I think we could see. Right now, again, we're sitting at 107. I say we could probably run back up into the 108 mids, maybe even touch on 109 until we get that pullback. All right, so we got the pullback.
We got it just as you thought, guys. With that USD, we saw, like you said, it ran way too fast, but also it started to consolidate around some of those yearly highs in the past. And even last week, you did see a little bit of a relief, and you saw that relief come into the market. It was a little bit of optimism whenever we saw that market start to rally with the S&P. So that was that correlation that we saw with the S&P, seeing that little upside, and that did correlate into the USD. So as some of you guys may know, that US dollar is seen as a haven. And last week, since there was a little bit of optimism coming back in and just the market wasn't overreacting to some of the data, you saw that dollar start to get that sell-off, and that's what we exactly saw.
Yeah. So we actually, again, we put up a snippet of the dollar index inside the recession room. Recession room is still active. It's going, and obviously now the quarantine potentially all the way up into April. We know that there's going to be a quarantine until the end of April, so we know that we're in some turbulent times up until that point.
The market and just the overall economy was not expecting another month of this. That's the, if you want to say, scary thing about it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about the numbers in terms of the economic numbers that are going to be coming out later on this week. But here you guys can take a look here at the dollar index. Here's a quick screenshot of where we were mentioning that, hey, this dollar index is likely to pull back a bit. And that's exactly what we saw. And so you can see that the dollar did end up pulling back in terms of a sell side move across all of its pairs. You can see here that on the euro, we saw the market run from 106 all the way up into 111. That's how much of a pullback that dollar reflected, because euro was quite stagnant, actually. If we head over here and show you guys what the euro looked like on the euro index, again, the euro index is simply just the euro relative to all the other currency pairs. So it shows us exactly what's happening on the euro. So as you guys can see, take a look. Euro did absolutely nothing last week. So when you see that euro USD pushing all the way up from 106 to 111, that was all dollar.
Exactly, and you really question that move in the market, because since all of 2018 and 2019, you saw the euro just come out with bad PMI, bad industrial production, and like he said, we saw a massive move up, and then you got to ask yourself, is that move truly sustainable along with that dollar strength that we're anticipating? I mean, the euro is practically dead at this point.
So you're expecting some euro sell side.
Quite a bit of euro sell side.
All right. So real quick, I want to talk to you guys quickly about the biggest movers, what we saw last week in regards to the biggest price moves. So to the buy side, our biggest movers was actually the GBP to the buy side and the Australian dollar, which is really interesting. Any idea why you think the pound moved so dramatically buy side?
We can say it's a retracement, but you also had that Boris Johnson came out with the coronavirus. So then it just seems some things just don't align sometimes in the market. Sometimes we don't have an answer for it.
We had so for us, we were neutral on the pound.
Yep.
So we had no buy recommendation. We had no sell side idea either. So for us, it was kind of like, hey, look, the pound's moving. You don't catch everything, and that's totally okay. You really, really want to focus. There was a cobalt trader back in 2017, off topic, but there was a cobalt trader back in 2017 who caught the massive spike in cobalt, the metal, and it was attributed to certain things like Tesla, it being used in NVIDIA batteries and things of that sort.
I remember that.
And he mentioned, hey, don't be mad if you missed this trade. Mm-hmm. Only people looking in cobalt got in this trade. So again, you want to focus specifically on maybe 3 or 4 currency pairs, especially during times based around things like the recession, right? So it makes sense to pay attention to the Aussie. It makes sense to pay attention to the dollar, JPY, CHF, so on and so forth. Our 2 biggest sell side movers was the US dollar, which we caught most of, so we're happy about that. We had a lot of members also inside of the recession room and just here on the channel that was able to get inside of that dollar sell side move. But then we also had a dramatic sell side event happening on the Canadian dollar.
Yep, and that Canadian dollar was really just getting pushed by oil prices. We'll discuss more on this later, but there is a big price war going on with Saudi Arabia and Russia. But at the same time, oil's getting smacked because of just the lack of demand coming into the market from this virus. So on top of that, we were seeing oil already dropping with that 2-week delay that we had in the economy, but now we have another month on top of that. So you're going to see not much demand come into oil. So it's going to continue like that.
Oil prices hit $19.60. All right, we rebounded to the $20 number. We did put out an oil signal today inside of the recession room. Remember, the session room packed with 6 different features, all involving what's happening right now in the recession. So yes, we are putting out certain signals based around the recession. There's also some recession resources. So again, there are different municipalities that offer different programs to you guys. We go over them in very, very broad detail as to what type of benefits you can get in regards to the stimulus. For example, gig economy workers, if you drive Uber, if you do Fiverr, in some sense, you can get paid from $10,000 all the way up to $10 million. It's a grant, and then it's a loan once it starts getting to a high capital amount. But there are different loans and grants out there for you guys. We go over how you can get access to those.
As well as, too, for some of you guys that have student loans, that's going to be important as well. So the interest payments might get held back, so that'll be good for them, too.
Exactly. So yes, in the recession room, recessionroom.com, you guys can head over to the recessionroom.com, start a free trial. It's free to get started. All right, so here is a quick glimpse of the USD CAD on a weekly time frame. We ran from 134 all the way up into 146. Like Kyler mentioned, tomorrow we're going to do a very detailed overview with what exactly is happening with the Saudi Arabia-Russia price war. It has had a tremendous effect on markets, and it's weird that it's happening at the same time that all this coronavirus shit
that's why that is just so divergent
is going on. Exactly. So yes, it is strange, just to go touch back on Boris Johnson, it's very strange that you see the pound trading to the upside right now. As different things come out about that specifically, we have some ideas. Overall, though, the bias for the week in regards to what we think you really should be paying attention to is there going to be a continuation of this reversal? Let's take a quick look here at the S&P 500. What are your thoughts on the S&P 500? Again, massive sell side. We ran from the 22s all the way up into the 26s. Is this going to be sustainable? The way the markets works, how it falls is how it rises, and vice versa, right? So if you get its dramatic price move in any direction, usually the retracement looks the exact same. So we could, just as ferocious. So you could see the exact same veracity in terms of a price move to the upside on this S&P 500 as you did to the downside. Yeah, so it's very dangerous markets.
Yeah, and
the
question now is what's actually going to give us that ferocious move to the downside? And
right.
Obviously, we're sitting at 143,000 cases in the U.S. for the coronavirus. Globally, we're sitting at more than 500,000. We're at 735,000. And there's a good chance that that's going to reach to 1 million.
Yeah.
But not only that, there is some of these authoritative people getting the virus, such as Boris Johnson, Prince Charles, and I know he's older as well. Right. And there was a Spanish princess that recently died too within the last couple hours I saw.
Wow.
So if that continues to ripple through some of these families and just over into the higher level people, that's going to bring a lot more panic into the market, because the market's going to start anticipating that, okay, well, maybe this isn't controllable, that you have maybe a prime minister getting it, that this thing is out of control. And that's where the fear is going to come into the market.
Yeah, so right here I have a inverse fib drawn up on the S&P 500 from the high that was created here in February all the way down to our most recent low, and we have hit off on a 38.2 so far. So our job at the moment is to see how heavily retraced this potential sell side move can be. We've already retraced close to 40% of that entire downside. Now, here's the part that is the most interesting. If you stuck around, thank you guys so much for sticking to the content. We know we talk a lot, but there's so much happening right now in markets, so really do appreciate it. If we want to see more sell side on this S&P 500, if you want the recession trade to continue, there are a couple of key things that you have to look out for. All right, and so the numero uno thing right now that I think could incite a deeper sell side here on the S&P and overall markets, where we can get a continuation on the dollar, continuation on the yen, continuation on the CHF, so on and so forth, is economic reports. All right, economic numbers. If we have NFP coming out, we have average hourly earnings coming out all this week. Week 1 April is technically this week in a sense, right? If those reports are damning and horrific and just a lot worse than many participants expected, then yes, you could see a significant sell side move here on the S&P 500. And that's one of the key catalysts that I think could drive markets entirely sell side, where people just get super fearful.
Important to note now, since there is that extended shutdown until the end of April, that's still, you're starting Q2 data right there.
Yes.
So Q2 data is going to have unemployment. It's going to have other different manufacturing there too. That's going to continue to take a hit.
Yeah. The dictionary definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of sell side. All right. So we got 1 quarter down. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, again, you just have to ask yourself, could we see a continuation here of markets trading to the sell side? If I pull all the way out for you guys, you can see that currently, again, we're sitting right around the 38.2 from the low created in 2009 all the way up into this high here again in 2020. So boom, we're at the 38.2. Again, do I see an opportunity for this market to run down to the 50% retracement, something you spoke about last week? If this thing gets, it's a possibility.
It's just something that we got to take advantage of.
Yeah, yeah. So as of right now, again, that's more long term, right? For this week specifically, we would like to see a little bit more U.S. dollar strength. We would like to see a little bit more Canadian dollar weakness as well. Those are the 2 leading currencies that we're really paying attention to. Now, of course, anything could happen. We're writing this all in pencil. Some crazy instance could come out that could have us change our entire directional bias.
Or some crazy key that comes out of nowhere that the market didn't expect.
Right, exactly. So again, right now, yes, dollar buy side, Canadian dollar, man, it's getting hit really hard. Let's keep an eye out on all these different things. What are you guys paying attention to? We really want to know. Comment down below where you think these markets could go for the week of April, week 1, end of March, week 4. It is very exciting times. It's very interesting to see this S&P pull back so dramatically. How it's sold off could be how it trades back to the upside. You have to be very cautious in this volatile environment. Everyone could get whipped out and this market could just start streaming to the upside unless those bad economic numbers come out, or like you said, unless we get more prominent people that get sick, or worst case scenario, end up passing because of the virus. Those are the key things that we're looking for to continue to see this market sell side. And so if you're still here with us, again, we very much appreciate you watching till the end of the video. Comment down below that still watching. I did this about a year ago. Comment down below still watching. We're gonna send 5 of you guys who are still watching the content some Top Trader merch, and we'll also let some of you guys into the recession room for the next 30 days for completely free. All right, so whether it's merch, whether it's getting access to the recession room, comment down below that you're still watching. And we, again, appreciate you guys so much. Let's see what happens in markets this week. We're ready. Stay safe. Trade very carefully. Keep stops on at all costs. Okay, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be talking about oil. That'll probably be Kyler. You'll go in deep.
I'll take care of that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good trading week.
See you guys.
Peace out.